Hello, this is Saket, Operations Head and Data Science Trainer in CodeGnan IT Solutions. As Python language is tremendously popular right now, the TIOB index, which ranks languages by their usage, routinely features Python on top 5. So, what makes Python so popular even though it was invented in the late 1990s? As Python is easy to work with, it takes fewer lines of code and to accomplish many common tasks than in other languages, such as reading from a website, processing text data for data formats like JSON, or crunching numbers. These are all things Python helps you do faster and with less hassle. So now let's make it practical by stepping our journey to build our virtual assistant. As a virtual assistant is a digital personal software based agent that helps us to perform our daily activities like setting clock alarms and scheduling an appointment, sending emails, typing messages, and so on. First, let's understand text to speech conversion to convert our input text into output voice format using GTTS, that is Google Text-to-Speech Library, and then we will work on regular expressions using RE module. So, let's understand about it in detail. So, till now we have understood how to create a module, we have worked on couple of built-in modules. We have also seen the importance of object-oriented programming system, where we have seen different type of methods like instance, static, class methods. We have also seen the importance of polymorphism, inheritance, right? So it's all about how you make up a simple task by writing a function or a class. It all depends on you how do you execute that task, right? But what if you see the slide on the screen, that is human learning? Why we should go for this? Because my intention is whatever we have learned till now, let's execute a simple task by building some couple of real-time projects, right? That's where you see the world real-time and anything, right? So generally our intention is just to make whatever we have learned till now, why can't we build our own virtual assistant, right? So that is where in this series of videos you will be learning how to build a virtual assistant, and I'll be making that virtual assistant to perform some better task like sending an email, interesting, right? Scraping from the website, and it also greets you, it tells you what is the time, and you can use the same logic to make it more work efficiently. So for that reason, I just wanted to give you a brief of what made people run towards it and what is the main difference between the human learning and what does human learning with artificial learning differ. So I just wanted to give you a brief. So for that reason, I gave here human learning. That's where you see the types of learnings, right? So generally, what do you mean by learning? You already know this term because we learn from our parents first. Our mother and father are our first teachers, right? So mother teaches in a different way, father teaches in a different way. That is the reason it is a process of gaining information through observation. We observe it, right? So that is where people think both knowledge and intelligence are same. No, it's not at all. Because knowledge is something like you grasp the collection, you grasp the skills, right? And information, you get that thing through experience. That's where you have some knowledge in dance or bike riding and anything, right? Or whether it is reading or any kind of thing, getting the names of cars, getting the names of mobile phone, that's your knowledge. That's how you collect the skills. You read it or you go through the web, you ask your parents. That is knowledge. But because that comes only with experience. But intelligence is at what time you are applying that knowledge. Suppose you know how to ride bike very good way. You ride at 120, 140 and you ride at 80 or 60 depending on the situation, just for example. But you should know how do you take the brake at a right moment to save a particular life. So that's where knowledge, intelligence are both are different. Knowledge is basically collection of skills and information we acquire through experience. Whereas intelligence, it is the ability to apply knowledge at a right time. So that is the reason I just made a learning task into 3 types. Because that is how we human beings learn, which you already know. That is first thing is expert guidance. That is how a small kid will learn from the parent. Because you why do you eat with your right hand only? Make it funny, right? Because your mother or father told you to do in the same way. They tell that sky is blue, they tell that this is moon, they tell that this is dog. Then from that moment we believe only in the words of mother or father, right? That's where they tell us alphabets A, B, C, D, anything, because that is expert guidance. That is where we learn from our parents first. Then what do? We apply the knowledge, whatever our mother or father told us. That's where you find the difference between an orphan and a child who is having parents. To be say sad, because they grow in a different environment. It all depends on environment we grow. That's where every person is having same amount of brain. It's not that Einstein is born with some other different abilities. Einstein, Newton, you see all these scientists and all the intelligent people or the entrepreneurs or MNC. It's all about the way we think. It's not I'm giving philosophical things, because that is where human learning is differing with artificial learning. How does Python is making way for artificial intelligence or machine learning or deep learning? You see these fancy terms, right? I'll relate that in a very simple way, just in a couple of minutes. Then we'll see how does our virtual assistant is related for Python programming. How do we use it? Because when you go for knowledge gain from experts, it's all about suppose if I tell a small kid that this is blue color, this is green color, then automatically what does he do? I mean, I need not say the other colors. He'll group other colors in a different way. That's how you see in your lifetime situation, you see in your house, what does a small kid will do? If you tell him something, he'll grasp the remaining things. Because our brain thinks in a very better way when we are a child. Yes? So the third thing is self-learning. How did you learn to ride a bicycle, to ride a bike? So it's all about this is the learning process. So this is the reason scientists have made, because we human beings cannot create new human beings, right? Only God can create. So we can emulate the way we think. That is where we can automatically make a machine to think like a human. That's where the concept of artificial intelligence. Because this is very, very important. If you are starting your journey into Python, you expand it. That's where you relate with the number of, the best modules you use or the packages you work on it. If you want to go for web development, you have Django, Flask, you have those couple of packages. You have so many. If you want to go for analysis, we have so many packages. If you want to go for AI, it's all about how do you use those packages with some relevant kind of knowledge you need to have. That is the reason my intention in this particular project is to make you understand how do we use the modules or packages we have learned and how do we make connection. It's all about how do you create a class. It's all about how you write a logic. How do you create a function? So that is the reason I'm talking all these things which will be related when you go for building a virtual assistant. When you go for artificial intelligence, this is the best quote I have met in my life, and I always believed in that quote, and I have just started my journey 5 years ago. Because even I said I am from non-programming background, because it's all about how do you relate yourself. Programming is not necessary. Previous background is not necessary when you step into Python. It's all about how do you get the logic and use it. So this is the quote which I always believe and I always share. AI, artificial intelligence, because intelligence is our ability to apply knowledge at the right time, right? If I ask the same thing for a machine, because machine is different, a robot is different, right? Robot will perform the task. A robot will become a humanoid when it can make the thinking as per human beings. That's how you see scientific fiction movies, right? In Telugu, you see Robo 2. If you're a Marvel fan, you see Iron Man character, this particular example. There are so many examples in real world like Sophia. You see, our world is running towards it. So once you're good at Python, you have a vast future ahead. Every field is related. The same way, AI is building similar to building a rocket ship. You see rocket ship, right? They carry all space material stuff to the space. It needs a lot of fuel and huge engine. Both should be balanced. If you have a large engine and no fuel, it can't even make to the orbit. In the same way, if you have tiny engine and tons of fuels, it can't even lift off. So both should be balanced. In the same way, we need to have the large amount of data and it should have large feeding algorithms. algorithms. That's how the AI is having subfields includes machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, computer vision. It's all about the type of data we see. Text, numbers, images. When you go for machine learning, it's different from programming. Programming is set of instructions. Machine learning is we make our model to learn from the previous experiences. That is where algorithms whose performance improve. The more data we feed, the better it learns. That's what we have done from childhood. Because in our childhood, we learn till 10 tables or 15 table. Even if we ask, what is 30 into 25, we may not tell it instantly, but you know how to multiply it, right? That is where we have fed from the data. It can be numbers, images, or text. In detail, if I talk about technical terms, that is structured, unstructured, that's a secondary thing. But always believe we are giving the best thing when you go for text, numbers, images. The best programming language which can be easily worked is Python. That is the reason these fields have kept on emerging, not in 21st century, but from 1950s only. The only difference is now we are seeing the improvements in technologies. That's where we have just seen from the couple of years, the importance of Python has been rose. That is the only reason. Just relate these words because once you step your career into Python, you have so much thing to expect. So now, which is relevant to our project, which we are going to see, we need to understand the concept of natural language processing first. Natural language, whatever the language we speak, whether it is English, Telugu, it's not Chinese. That's the best simple example I gave. Python is not the language we speak, right? It is a language which we execute. It's a programming language which the machine will understand with the help of an interpreter. Whatever we write in English, it transforms to machine language and again the output is English. That's what you are seeing, right? Whatever the logic you give. So processing, how does it carries the task? So that is where whenever we work related to text kind of data, it all started with strings. We have seen the importance of string. How do you group the characters? Yes, that is the reason we'll use the same logic. We'll be working on a module called as regular expression, where you group up the data, where you search for a pattern. Because if I tell my virtual assistant to open a particular web browser, it should understand the word, right? Yes. So in that process, we have these steps, because that is where natural language processing is the field. It is giving much boom when you relate to the text data, because you use mobile phones, right? You have Siri in iPhone, you have OK Google, you have Cortana in Windows, because Windows mobiles are now into Android completely. That's a secondary thing. But you know how to use OK Google, right? Your voice assistant. That's where chatbots are differing. So that is the reason I want to give a difference between a chatbot and a virtual assistant. Then we will understand how do we build our virtual assistant. Because people think both are same. No. In chatbots, we have so many stages. That's where artificial intelligence is being used in our mobile phones also. So, because chatbots they are software applications that use artificial intelligence and NLP. Artificial intelligence, just break the word. What do you mean by artificial? It's not natural, right? We are natural beings. Those are artificial, which we create, because only the things are natural created by God. Nature is natural. We are creating artificial things. The same way, if we are related to text kind of data, so that's where whatever we speak UK accent, but US accent is different. So whatever we speak, how does our speech is understanding? Same, whatever we learned in our childhood, we learn group of words, vowels, sentences, phonetics. In the same way, our chatbot, our virtual assistant will try to group the same thing. So that is where, see, a well-designed and built chatbot they use existing conversation to understand what we ask. The best example is, if you go for a Swiggy bot or Amazon bot, what does they'll do? Swiggy bot, it has only simple, because it follows a rule-based things. Whether you have kept the order, where is your order is taking too much of time, you want to cancel your order. That's what you see the built-in questions, right? Other than that, whatever you ask, it may cannot answer, or you need to connect to the customer agent. That's where people are reducing the time. Even in games, you have bots. If you know the well-known games like PUBG or any other games, they have bots because they are pre-trained with some customary task. Only specific task. That's where even machine learning and NLP techniques are used to understand the specific pattern of information, because data and information are different. Data is a raw form, information is a cleansed form. So that is where chatbots are basically of three types: rule-based, AI, and live chat. When you go for rule-based, they follow a particular rule. That's what you see in Amazon, that's what you see in Swiggy. You can experience it. Everyone, if you are using mobile phone, you know it, right? They follow a particular pattern. If we ask anything other than that, it's gone. They cannot answer it because they are following some rule based. Why do companies use it? They want to save particular manpower at that moment, so that because we cannot allocate, because our population is around 150 crores. Out of that, 100 crores still use mobile phones at least. Even without any knowing thing, you can keep an order in Swiggy, right? You just open Swiggy, choose the location, choose the restaurant, keep the order, right? The same process. So that is rule based. So chatbot is nothing but whatever we are chatting, it's not it's not a human. It's a bot giving reply to us. Bot is nothing but it's not human. In the same way you can think. When you go for AI chatbots, they automatically learn from the data we give. So that is where these assistants. So when you go for these assistants, it includes like speech recognitions, like when you go for Siri and you go for OK Google, these are all basically, those are virtual assistants, because you already know it, right? They are trying to speak, they are trying to give you whatever the information you ask it. They are learning from that. That's where you see, after initial training period by a bot developer, because even Siri, because when you go for Siri, it came in 2000s when the iPhone was introduced. Steve Jobs gave it, right? The name for it is speech interpretation and recognition interface, because that's where the era of mobile phones has been changing. So that's where AI has come into picture. When you go for live chat, whether it can be a person or manually a chatbots, that's where WhatsApp API, and you see so many things. Facebook is providing you chatbots. You go for live chat, you train some flow over there, it will automatically respond. That's where sales and sales department development teams, customer support, they all use the live chat. So these are all types of chatbots. Then what made chatbots differ with intelligent assistants, virtual assistant? I'll show you. So this is how the rule-based chatbot works. Greeting, which the select response, email capture, scheduling, talk to sales. The flow, it's a particular rule. When you go for AI, see input from a user, analyze the previous request, get the entry, and compose the reply. That's where AI chatbot. It is learning. That's where it uses the natural language processing techniques. It learns from the data. Then, if you go for virtual assistant, it is basically, those are also related to same software based, where they serve us, they assist us, virtual assistant. That's where your Siri or Cortana or OK Google, you customize your mobile phone, OK Google will help you. Setting reminders, doing automatic tasks. Simple. Chatbot is company oriented. Virtual assistant is user oriented. So that is the main difference between chatbots and virtual assistant. To make it very simple, I gave a particular difference over there. Chatbots are not as intelligent as VAs, virtual assistants, because chatbots, they follow with the rule based. But to make my chatbot more intelligent, I need to go for understanding or using some advanced natural language processing techniques to make it more better. That's where organizations have been using, and that's where this 21st century is running towards AI, because they lose the context if you break the interaction. But virtual assistants, they follow a dynamic flow and they're always on track. That's where in our particular project, with the help of Python modules, we will make our virtual assistant to do that particular task. You can use the same logic and you can customize your virtual assistant. It's quite interesting, right? Yes. So without giving much more time, let's go for digging onto it. But I hope you understood the difference between chatbot and virtual assistant. Just keep on hitting that. It will be easier. But whenever you're trying to build a project, always understand the problem statement. We are trying to make whatever we have learned till now, we are just trying to give up a flow for it. How do we use those modules and group some functions and build some simple use case projects? right? That's how these projects are used in real time. When you go for understanding the logic, you build a customer interface, you make a database, and that's how it is used in real life situation. If you don't do this, how can you do that, right? So always think about the problem statement. Then it will be easier once we go ahead. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. If you have liked our content, please do hit like button and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful content and exciting updates. If you want to learn such practical content at an affordable cost with instructor support and course completion certificate, please do register at academy.codegnan.com. You can also download app from Play Store as CodeGnan. Never hesitate to raise queries in the comment section, and please do reply with your suggestions for more practical videos. We'll be happy to come up with it. Thank you.